Now, do you know everything there is to know about fragrance oils? If you're a veteran, you probably know a thing or two, but we never stop learning, and especially at the beginning, you don't know what you don't know. Exactly the point of today's video. I'm telling you all the things you may not know about fragrance oils and how to use them in a proper way. As with anything, there is a right and wrong way. So today we're going through the right way to do things, including how you're actually supposed to test fragrance oils, because I myself was a victim to sniffing fragrance oils directly out of the bottle, which is terrible for many reasons. We'll cover them in a little bit. Let's go ahead and dive in. Just a quick introduction before we get into the value of today's video. My name is Sarah and I own Pink Envelope Brands as well as a handmade business, and we are all about making customers obsess over the products we create. So here we go. Fragrance oils, a 101 if you would say. I want to kick it off with blends because I think if you are newer to making, blends might seem intimidating, but they have really great qualities and really help you stand out in a crowded market, whether that be an actual vendor market in person or online. Blends are exactly as they sound. It is when you take two fragrance oils and you put them together to make a new fragrance oil. Okay, I see plenty of makers do this and I think it's a great way for many reasons to stand out, but I think also from a back end perspective it makes a lot of sense because you're able to kind of mix and match, really curtail your offerings to your customer base and things that they like, and then you can also use up some oils that you might have, you know, lying around. You never know what's going to make a great combination, and I can tell you I don't blend often. Personally, in my handmade business, I tend to lean more towards fragrances that give you a moment versus like two fragrance notes, like a winter berry and jam. I don't know, that doesn't really sound good. I mean, it might be good, but you know what I'm saying. I tend to go for more moments versus individual notes. So here's what you can do if you are blending. The first thing you need are some droppers and blotter sheets. These are fragrance blotters. You'll see them used all over the place. I'm sure you are familiar with walking through Macy's and being bombarded with 10 or 15 of these that are full of a bunch of random fragrances. So here is what they look like. Whether or not they are included with your order really depends on who you order from. Makesy does include them when you order their sample kit, which is how I ended up with these. And really a more cost-effective way is to order some off of Amazon. Just be careful of the thickness of the paper. These are like really nicely made. They're very thick. So you want to check the weight of the paper they are made with. The higher the weight of the paper they are made with, the thicker and more cardboard-like they will be. Obviously you don't want a piece of cardboard, but you also don't want a piece of printer paper. You know, you need something kind of in the middle like this. So anyway, you're going to need some droppers, some fragrance blotters, and then your fragrance oils. During today's video, we're going to be working with Northwood Distributing fragrance oils. They sent me this in PR and it is so cute. First of all, let me show you this genius thing. This is not sponsored, but they did again send this to me in PR. They sent this, and at first I was like, oh, cool, like a magnet. Like that's, you know, that's pretty cool. Everyone loves a magnet. I have magnets everywhere. But then I realized they also sent this tiny little dry erase marker. And look, on the magnet, it's got like a whiteboard. See how cute that is? I honestly think that that is super genius. So anyway, thank you to Northwood for sending me this package in PR. I have been talking about it on my Instagram stories as well. When blending oils, you're going to want to get the two that you're thinking about mixing. Now, again, I think that going with an individual note versus like a moment fragrance would be better. Let's say, going to want to start with your fragrance blotter, and you're going to want to take your fragrance blotter, get the tiniest amount of fragrance oil on the dropper, and then drop it onto this fragrance stick. Then you're gonna waft it in front of your face like that. Give it a minute to dry, come back and check on it in a couple of hours. Again, I start with equal parts and then go from there. Maybe I'm like, oh, this is nice, but I prefer like the tone of the first fragrance, so I'm going to add a second drop to the same blotter and then kind of go from there and see what happens. But the key to this is, one, letting it dry before you're like sniffing it all over the place. Obviously you can waft it in front of your face while it's still drying, but to get like a true reading of what the fragrance will actually smell like in your products, you want to wait for it to dry. Come and check on it in a couple of hours, come back and check on it again tomorrow. Check on it multiple times throughout the next couple of days just to see exactly how it will dry and wear over time, because some fragrances bitter over time, some flourish over time. There's just so many different things that could happen. You want to make sure you're getting the most accurate picture before you start blending things out. Final note on blending fragrances, please don't make my mistake and write down exactly what you do every time you touch that fragrance blotter. And by that, I mean, if you have equal drops of sea kelp and sage, then write sea kelp and sage equal parts. Then later, if you add a second drop of sea kelp, then you need to update it. 2 parts sea kelp, 1 part sage. You know what I'm saying? Like, make sure you write that down. So once you find the blend that you like, you actually remember what you did. And please don't be like me and think, you know what, I'm going to remember that. Like, no worries. I say that all the time and then I can never remember. And then it's like a struggle. Please don't be like me. Okay? All right. Now, next up on our list of things, just want to get to the testing part of the video, but I wrote my script and put that in last because I knew it would be my favorite part. And there are some things that you need to consider when working with a fragrance. You've probably heard of both of them, but maybe confused about them. And those are the flash point and the vanillin content of your fragrance oil. A flash point. Most distributors or suppliers will have the information on their label. Wholesale Supplies Plus does. So I'm just going to show you that really quick. There we go. Down here, the flash point and the vanilla percent. Okay, and again, a bunch of other ones do as well. It's just I have that one handy. So I think it's become more standard for that information to be on the label. So if it's not on the label, all you have to do is look at the website. But the flash point is the degrees in Fahrenheit when your fragrance oil actually can become combustible and just like, poof. Trust me, we don't want that. So when you're using the fragrance oil, just make sure if you're pouring it into something hot, usually I think of candle wax when I come to this moment of my work, but usually I think of candle wax when I come to this moment or time where I have to consider a flash point. Just make sure that whatever you're pouring the fragrance oil into is below that temperature, okay? And then the vanillin content is just how much of the vanilla compound is in your fragrance oil. And the reason we care about that is because soaps with a higher vanillin content turn brown in cold processed soap. Bath bombs, bath fizzies, like bubble scoops. The only thing I haven't seen it turn brown was candle wax and body butter, though I keep my body butter like pure white, and I have noticed just a tinge of browning over time, but not anything. Like, I think you would have to be looking at it to see it. So we don't want any of our products to be wasted because they have been oxidized by the amount of vanilla in this. Okay, we don't want that. So if you're using a fragrance with a high content of vanilla, what you need to do is get a cold process soap stabilizer. Like, it's called a vanilla stabilizer. You want to get that. I know they have it at Wholesale Supplies Plus. I've seen it other places, I'm pretty sure. But again, Wholesale Supplies Plus just comes to mind like very frequently for me. Let them combine, let them come together. You want to mix it around. Online, all of the suggestions that I found were to wait 15 minutes. So that is what I did when I started using it, and it has helped immensely. Obviously, no one wants to waste their supplies, especially with supplies that you need to like put forth a lot of effort into, you know what I mean, like making soap. So using this vanillin stabilizer will help you avoid your bars turning brown. The other piece of advice that I noticed a lot of people saying was the higher the vanillin content, the more of the stabilizer you need to use. So keep that in mind. And just honestly, as a general rule of thumb, fragrance oil can change the curing time of your soap, and it can also change the color. We most frequently hear it happening with vanillin fragrance oils with high vanillin contents, but it can happen with any. So if you haven't worked with that fragrance oil before and you're not exactly sure which one. Okay, let's go with the sniff test. Now, I see a lot of people online doing this, and obviously I am aware I have been one of them. We want to dig into this package. We're gonna open it up, we're gonna read it. Oh, high maintenance, yes. High maintenance by Northwood. That smells so good. I see people going like this. It smells really good too. And then you make a product with it. Not this one specifically, I haven't tried it. And people are surprised when they make it in a product and it's not exactly what they expected it to be. We covered already that fragrance oils can change once they oxidize, meaning they hit oxygen. They start to evaporate and there's nothing we can do about it. So the best thing, your fragrance oils have been sealed inside of a bottle, inside of a bag, inside of a package for who knows how long, you know? So you want to put your best foot forward and get the most accurate results of your sniff test. If you must, absolutely must smell them out of the bottle, I highly recommend. The only real way to do it is to go outside. That will give you a semi-accurate picture of what they will truly smell like in your finished product, but this is the actual way that you should do it, okay? You want to obviously work in a well-ventilated area. I just smell high maintenance, and I liked that one out of the bottle. But let's go unnamed. Ooh. This one is called unnamed. Okay. Get your fragrance blotter again. All you have to do is open her up. Quick dip. Tap off any excess back into the jar. Ooh, I can smell this one from here. It smells good. Then we're gonna wave it around to just kind of, you know, air it out a little bit, let it oxidize. Then I just kind of check it. It's no longer pooled on the top of the stick. It has started to absorb within. Waft it in front of your face. Ooh, that smells good. Very clean. Ooh, peach mimosa. Let's go neon blossoms. Neons are in 2024. If you saw my spring trends video, I'm pretty sure we talked about that. Neon blossoms. Okay, we're gonna give that one a try. This reminds me of something. Wow, that smells so good. What does this remind me of? When you waft it in front of you after letting it oxidize, it has like a little powdery undertone to it. Like maybe a bottom note. It'd be really great for kids' products, by the way. You smell it out of the bottle, it does not smell like a powdery finish. So, interesting. Very interesting. Let's move on to the difference. I kind of forgot what we were doing there for a second. Let's move on to the difference between fragrance oils and essential oils. Basically, the difference, the short story to the long story, is that fragrance oils are generally not naturally occurring out in the wilderness, okay? They are usually chemical compounds or synthetic, and essential oils are not. Essential oils happen out in nature naturally. They're a natural resource, and they are like picked and extracted from whatever it is. So for example, lavender essential oil has been extracted from a lavender plant, not made in a lavender lab. I think a good medium, there are some distributors that have blends. You don't like exactly what essential oils are being offered, but you want to, you know, have that as a talking point for your products. There are some suppliers that do offer blends of fragrance oil and essential oil. I've worked with a couple, they're really nice. So that's also an option. The last thing I want to leave you off on, and if you are still here, thank you so much for sticking around. This one I feel like is a longer one for me especially, but I do find as I'm making more valuable pieces of content that they're getting like naturally a little bit longer. This is the last thing I want to cover, and that is the IF IFRA. A lot of groups on Facebook will talk about IFRA, whether it's a fragrance oil supplier group or a soap making group or a candle making group. The IFRA is actually an internationally recognized association that kind of sets the standards for all fragrance oils and components of fragrances. So like the chemical compounds that make up your fragrance oil. And essentially their whole job is to regulate that field to make sure that all of the fragrance oils that we are buying, the products that we are making, the products that a lot of consumers are purchasing are safe to use. So what you'll see referenced most frequently is what is the IFRA for category 1, or I find the IFRA document. What they're referring to is the legal document that must accompany each kind of fragrance oil that is out there on the market. And on that document, it will give different categories of products and how much of the fragrance oil, specifically that one specific fragrance oil, how much of that oil is safe to use on the skin, in candles, on home, around kids, with pets, etc. Okay, so you all, and it's super important to know that that percentage varies for each category and each fragrance oil. You might be able to use the pink sugar fragrance oil from Nature's Garden at 10% in your body lotion. I don't know that for sure. I just kind of threw it out there. But in the pink sugar type fragrance from Wholesale Supplies Plus, you can only use 6 for the same product. You have to check for each individual supplier and oil because those numbers really do vary. And the last thing you want to do is put yourself or your customer especially in danger by using incorrect amounts. Okay, so that's usually what people are referring to when they ask for the IFRA documentation. And I'm going to actually leave you guys off a little bit differently than I normally do. I want to know your opinion, okay? Do you think all fragrance oils are created equally? I know exactly what I think, and I'm actually going to post that in the blog instead of adding it to the lengthy video we already have here. Let me know down in the comments. I would love to have a back and forth about it. Do you think all fragrance oils are created equally? Let's go. I'll see you down there. Bye.